This is the neighbor's little dog named Lucky. It passed away just a few days ago. When I first moved here, after feeding it a few times casually, every morning when I got up to go to work, it would walk me part of the way until I reached the intersection, then it would leave. And when I got off work, I'd always see it waiting at the intersection. I never thought back then I could exchange some leftover rice I didn't want for a loyal, fluffy friend. Sometimes when I met its owner, the owner would often joke, "This dog is raised for our family." No, it's just born to love humans. I've seen it wag its tail to ingratiate itself with others more than once. Some were old grannies. Some were kids who had just finished school. When someone petted it, it would sit obediently on the ground wagging its tail. When someone shooed it, it would tuck its tail, hunch its body, and hide at the edge of the roadside. Logically, such a well-behaved little dog must be loved. But it wasn't. I saw it shut outside the door more than once, huddling up tightly, staying by the roller shutter door to avoid getting wet in the rain. It was always so hungry that it was skin and bones. Emaciated and dry, with no meat at all. Every time I fed it, it ate in a hurry. As if it missed this time, it would be hard to get full next time. It seems the fate of local dogs is always like this. No need to feed them too much. No need to give them a home they can return to anytime. They're smart little things that won't leave even if you hit them. Even if you ignore them, they can always find a way to survive. I stayed in a village for a while when I was a kid, a real rural area. There was nothing there except endless rice fields and rapeseed flowers. Back then, to go to school, I had to get up at 5 in the morning, walk through narrow slender ridges between fields, then get around to the mountain path someone had cleared and follow the winding mountain path to the main road. Then climb a steep slope for an hour and a half along the road to reach school. I was staying at a relative's house back then, and there was always a big black dog that walked me to school. But it could only walk me to the village entrance and no further, because the family still needed it to guard the door, even if not every household had such big yellow or black dogs. So, every morning when we went to school, you could see a group of kids and a group of dogs walking to the village entrance together. The kids wandered into the mountain path, and the dogs stopped at the village entrance, then scattered one by one back to their own doorsteps. There were many dogs in the village back then, but their treatment was basically the same. No need to feed them too much, never bathe. Some didn't even have their own kennels, huddling at their own doorsteps, rain or shine. Every time a household started eating, they would gather around, walking around people's legs under the table, keeping an appropriate distance from people, not too close, not too far, so that the bone they'd been waiting for wouldn't fall and get snatched by other dogs. I was still little back then, and at my first meal, being stared at by so many dogs, I really couldn't stand those little black bean-like eyes looking at me so pitifully. So I fed the chicken leg in my hand to the dogs. That was the second time I was laughed at in the village. Being told city kids are just soft-hearted. The first time I was laughed at was when climbing the mountain to go to school. I always couldn't keep up physically and was late for the group. People always said they didn't get it. How someone like me values pets more than people. But maybe there's a possibility that it's mutual. Sometimes I feel like I'm not actually sympathizing with them. I just see my own shadow in them. So if people call me hypocritical, or say I'm self-indulgent, I don't care. After all, I did find comfort in pets. I just don't understand why being well-behaved and obedient doesn't sincere treatment, but rather colder neglect. I just find it strange. The more wholeheartedly you treat someone with all my enthusiasm, the more he avoids it. Parents are like this, lovers. And friends are too. Sometimes I thought I didn't give enough, didn't hold on long enough, for failing to step into their world. Later, I realized, actually, this fragile relationship can be maintained as long as I'm willing to keep playing dumb and be that blood bag. But that's not what I want. I don't want to be treated like a fool all the time. I want a pure, completely trustworthy relationship. I thought I'd never have this experience in my life, but it happened with a pet. Back then I had just graduated and started working, and I didn't have much money. At night, I usually buy a duck leg at Shaxian, which counts as dinner. One day after work, I wasn't very hungry. I bought a duck leg, put it in a bag, and went home. I wasn't far from my doorstep when I heard the aunt downstairs say, "Your dog is following you, Lulu." I turned around and there really was a little dirty dog, but it was after the duck leg. In the end, I ended up keeping it without thinking. But I was really busy with work. But when Lulu was really stressed, I worked 10 hours straight. At that time, I could lose consciousness just sitting down. Back then, even taking the bus home used up all my energy. After getting home, I just wanted to lie quietly and do nothing. But when I opened the door, I had to clean up the mess after it trashed the house, which made me even more frustrated. The first time I hit it was because of this. I took a hanger and hit it. I was so angry. I took the hanger and hit it hard. I must have looked terrible then, with my hand holding the hanger frozen in mid-air. A puddle of yellow urine flowed from under the puppy. It had always been a clean little dog. It even hated touching water when walking. This little dog was so scared by me that it sat in its own urine, too scared to run or snarl. At that moment, I broke down. I felt terrible, even if it had hidden or snarled at me. I would have felt better instead of now, no matter how scared it was. It just stood there obediently. When did I start unconsciously becoming the person I hate the most? I don't know. But raising a puppy really taught me a lesson. I'll never be a good parent, even being a puppy's parent. I often feel guilty and ashamed. I'm not patient enough and get angry easily. I thought hitting and scolding was education, but it was just avoiding and venting anger. I don't have the ability to solve problems. Someone like me can't do it. Be the parent I idealize. But luckily I'm not married and have no kids. So it's not too late. I quit my job in the big city and took the puppy back to my hometown. I found an ordinary job in the town. The salary isn't as high as before, but I have more time to play with him and more time to heal myself. I know very well, if the puppy hadn't given me an excuse to lie flat. I'm mentally exhausted and tangled. I'd never leave that painful job on my own. How ridiculous. People always think they're right, thinking they appear as saviors, never thinking they might be the ones being saved. So, I take it seriously. I care about this puppy and that one, not like before in a village. There are always dogs that die for no clear reason or lost. No one knows. And they don't care, just like Wangcai.